get things up and running. Yeah, okay. I know. Go on. Shoo, shoo. Okay. Go on. Away. Away with you. No, don't. Shoo. I'm making a drink. Shoo. Yay, Margarita time indeed. Let me just get set up and shoo my cat away so she doesn't cause everything to collapse. Go on. Yeah, I know. I know. Right. Yes, thank you. She is adorable, but she does sometimes get in the way. Yeah, she's had dinner. Um, yeah. Would you mind grabbing me the small bag of ice in the freezer? Thank you. Okay. Right. Let's just check that Twitch is all working properly. Got my stream manager. Of the actually, yeah, that'll do fine. Thank you. Right. Cool. Okay. So I have my ice. I have my uh, orange liqueur, so triple sec. You can use, well, we'll get into the ingredients in a moment, but I've got my ice, got my triple sec, got my tequila, I've got my agave syrup, which is not necessary but is nice. And because it's quarantine, I have lemons rather than limes. Ideally, one wants to be using limes, but this is the quarantine, so we're not fully stocked up on everything we might like to be. Just prepare this a little bit. Open my lemons. So all I've got down here is a cutting board, some glasses, a jug because we're going to do this in a jug, and um, my squeezer, which you saw last time. So yeah, let's run through tools quickly first. Right, to start, happy Friday, as is my now usual introduction. Um, we are going to be making a margarita using similar recipe to this. I'm actually using the recipe from the PDT cocktail book, which if you're kind of looking for one cocktail book that now if you're looking for one cocktail book, go with the Death and Co cocktail book because they do both a lot of the basics and a lot of the explanation of kind of how to make cocktails and the theory behind them. But if you're going for a second one, get the PDT. That's Papa Delta Charlie. Sorry, Papa Delta Tango. Get the PDT cocktail book because it is got some fantastic recipes. A few of them require like a bit of fancy ingredients, and some of them require quite fancy ingredients, which is often the problem with these high-end cocktail books, is that they've got lots of nice recipes in, but many of them you can only really either do at home if you're doing a big kind of batch of them, or go to their wonderful cocktail establishment and enjoy because they require some uh, roasted tincture of slow cooked garlic essence or whatever. Probably not. That would probably go quite unpleasantly in most drinks. Um, so yeah, that's a good idea. I should do video on starter bar ingredients, both in terms of the kind of non liquor or spirit ingredients that you want to have together. Things like simple syrup and citrus, and oh shit. Uh, Sorry, just a sec. I've noticed that my freezer is wide open. Someone forgot to close the freezer. Um, oh, oh, don't worry, don't worry. Right, this is all in keeping with the quarantine cocktail theme, um, because the general theme I'm going for with these cocktail lessons is making drinks in a way that you can actually reasonably do at home without investing uh, without investing, hundreds and hundreds of pounds into ingredients and dozens of hours into, making your own syrups and your own reductions and so forth. In some cases, making your own syrups is really easy and well worthwhile. So, like with simple syrup, just sugar syrup, if you mix by weight 2 parts of sugar, caster sugar is best, with 1 part of water, and then heat it up in the microwave or on the stove top or whatever, it'll dissolve and make nice, pretty shelf stable sugar syrup that you can use in any cocktail that requires sugar syrup, which is like at least a third of them. So, some ingredients it's really worthwhile, but a lot of the time, eh. So, whereas in many parts of the internet you can find excellent guide videos on how to do the best margarita or the best Manhattan, I would recommend Jamie Boudreau or Jeffrey Morgenthaler. Both do some great videos on how to make really really good drinks. My focus here is more on making the kind of drinks that you can do in your kitchen, but still making them to a high standard, and hopefully showing you some of the areas that you can kind of shave off time, and some of the areas that really add to the drink without too much extra effort. So, as I said, we're using lemons for this margarita. If you're watching from home and you have limes, I would recommend them, but lemons do fine. Generally, you can substitute citrus, at least lemons and limes, pretty easily. It's a bit more difficult when you get to the fancier citruses. And if you want an orange peel in your drink, go for an orange peel because it's substantially different to the other options. But substituting is pretty easily. So our first step is we're going to salt the rims of the glasses. Now, this isn't strictly speaking a essential part of the drink, and if you're not a big fan of salt on your rim, then either don't do it or just do half of one so you can kind of test and see whether you really like it. However, as Young Golden points out, if I didn't do it, she would get very grumpy at me because while I think salt is a nice addition to a margarita, my lovely fiance thinks it's absolutely essential. And yeah, so if I'm making a drink for her, it would be wrong for me not to. So take half of your citrus of choice, just wipe it round the edge of the glass. You get a bit of juice on there, and then take. You can just use a little plate of regular, like table salt. If you've got like nice fancy bigger salt crystals, that's good, but again, not essential. And then just rim it round so you're moving it about a little bit, just getting some salt on there, give it a little shake, and you've got pleasantly covered rim. Now, why is this salt a bit off colour? This salt I've mixed with some chipotle powder ahead of time, which does add an extra little kick to the drink. Again, not at all necessary. If you like salt, just go with regular salt, but if you want to elevate it a bit, adding some chipotle powder or a little bit of chili powder, a few chili flakes maybe, it does give the drink an extra oomph. So, yeah, not necessary, but nice. Just going to stick a few ice cubes in the glasses because we're going to be doing this one on the rocks. Now, normally you want to use a scoop or something. I have washed my hands, and I didn't touch the cat while trying to shoo her away. Um, but you know, sorry about the rustling. So we just fill up our glasses with ice cubes, which is what makes the drink on the rocks. The rocks being the ice, of course. The margarita you can do straight up as well. If you want to do it straight up, just strain it into a glass without putting ice in the first place. So here we have a ready-to-go margarita glass, just any old tumbler, fill with ice and rim with salt. Rim with salt first because I've done that before. You fill all your glasses with ice and then you go, oh, I need to rim it, and have to tip the ice out or like sprinkle the ice around the rim, which just doesn't work at all. Then I'm going to dump the remainder of my ice into a jug. As you can see, I'm doing this on my couch, which is partly to demonstrate how easy this stuff is and how you can just kind of do it anywhere, but it's also because I haven't yet set up a camera on my home bar. So one day I will do that once webcams start becoming more available, but like I say, it's quarantine, so we make what we can with what we have. Now, if you do have a nice glass jug with an engraving on the side that you did yourself as a Christmas present for your fiance, which is probably the most romantic thing I've ever done, then use that. If not, any old jug will do. So we're going to put our jug on the improvised mouse pad that we use and try not to let the bottles slide off the improvised stand we've got there. Excuse me. So as far as the recipe goes, the margarita is something that's quite personal, and you want to play around with, excuse me, with exact ratios. We tend to go for a fairly strong one, so I will be using a little bit more tequila, but also a little bit more lime juice or lemon juice. Generally, lime is a little bit stronger than lemon, a little bit sourer to my palate at least, so you tend to want to use a little bit more lemon to get the same effect. Okay, so we're going to start once again with the kind of cheapest, easiest ingredients generally. So I'm going to use some agave syrup. It can be reasonably expensive if you get the super fancy, Whole Foods stuff. I mean, this is some kind of whole food, you think, but if you buy it in large bottles, it's not too expensive, and you'll get through it moderately quickly if you're doing large batches of it. Now, for an individual margarita, if you're serving it straight up, you can pretty safely discard with the agave syrup. The triple sec is reasonably sweet, but when you're adding ice to it, more ice at least, you tend to want to increase that sweetness somewhat. So a little bit of agave syrup goes a long way. Um, we want, so I'm going to do a bit more than 2 drinks worth, so about half an ounce of agave syrup. I'll try not to spill on my couch. So into the jug that goes. Little tip, if you're pouring syrups, you'll get a dribble of them. You probably know this for pouring honey and stuff, but twist the jigger or twist whatever you're pouring, and you won't get that annoying big drip down the side of it. So next up, we're going to do our lemon juice. So about 2 ounces of this. Once again, I've got my citrus squeezer. You can buy these pretty much anywhere that does, home uh, kitchen equipment and whatnot. Though I don't know, I forgot to put an Amazon affiliate link up, but Amazon sells them. Being on Twitch, Bezos is now my overlord apparently, so, you know, go buy from Daddy Bezos. Uh, though last time I checked, they didn't have, on the UK one, they didn't have the citrus squeezer I really like, which is why I've ended up with this slightly mediocre one. But there you go, sometimes you don't get exactly what you want. This one's still fine. So we squeeze out our 2 ounces of lime juice, which is about lemon and a half in this case. If you see a recipe that says X limes or X lemons of juice, beware, because limes and lemons both vary hugely in their the amount of juice that they produce per fruit. So put a little bit extra in there because we're doing just over 2 drinks worth. See, the way I often like to make drinks is I'll only have one in an evening, but I like to make it a bit bigger than a typical one. I think that works out nicely. So we're going to add our triple sec next. In this case, Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier is a little bit sweeter and richer than, say, Cointreau, but it tastes really good. And I'm out of Cointreau. Oh shit. So occasionally, with cork tops, you get the plastic bit coming off of the cork. So that was unexpected, but we will muddle through. Let me just... Right, I need to deconstruct my little podium here that I was using to show you things, and I will be back in just a second. Once I've found my... There we go. My cork remover. Okay. So we're going to try to drill into this like a wine cork and hopefully pull it out so I can at least get access. Wasn't a huge amount left in this bottle, so it's not like it's the end of the world, but there we go. Okay, got that out at least, so I can make these drinks. Right, so we're going to do about 0.75 ounces per drink. So we'll do, 1.75 or so, which actually is the rest of the bottle. Perfect. There we go. Ups and downs. Right. And finally, we are going to add in our tequila. Now, you can use silver, blanco, white tequila. If you want to use something get something a bit richer, then go for a reposado or an anejo, one of the golden ones. But for my money, at least for a kind of refreshing light margarita, blanco goes down very nicely. And I would rather get, personally at least, a fairly good quality blanco than a kind of mediocre reposado. Even though they've been aged a bit more, they often just taste a little bit weird. So here we're going to do about 4 ounces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, you can absolutely make a margarita in a shaker. Indeed, it's kind of the way I would usually make it when making one for just myself or a couple of people. But if you want a couple each, or if you want to have a party, then making it in jug can be a lot easier, and especially given the kind of general theme of this cocktail making instructional, which is stuff you can easily do at home. I'd say more people have a jug or equivalent than have a shaker. So just take a long-handled spoon, pretty much any long-handled spoon will work, and we're going to Whereas with the sorry about the noise. Whereas with the Manhattan, the idea was to carefully swirl it around the outside. With this, we're just gonna mix it up a lot, aerate it, smash up any bits of ice that are melted together, and just make sure that it's nice and well mixed. And a bit watered down, because part of the point of having ice in a drink is to cool it, but another part of it is to water it down and make it a little bit more drinkable. So there we go. Right, nice and aerated. And now what we're going to do is strain it out. So take a hawthorn strainer if you've got one, or anything that will block the end of the jug from ice coming out. Though, again, if you want to do it really easily, you don't have to put the ice in the glasses first. You can just put a bunch more ice in here, mix it all up, and then pour it in without straining. That is also fine. So we're going to pour out into 2 roughly equal measures. Go. And perfect. So there, we have 2 rather nice margaritas. Well, I say rather nice. The proof of the pudding is always in the eating, and the proof of the cocktail is in the sipping. Nice. Lovely. Mm. So now, probably would have been better with lime juice, but that's still a nice drink. And here is yours. How is it? Excellent. Very nice, is the verdict. Right, so there you go. You can, at home, create your own. I would recommend that you do, assuming you're into drinking alcohol. Lovely. So the history of the margarita, they haven't got a lot here, but is one of these drinks that's very much shrouded in mystery. I'm probably going to cover it when I do eventually do my video expanding on the previous cocktail history one. I am still planning on doing that at some point, but that's probably going to be a somewhat niche audience. But I know I've got a few people out there who very much enjoy seeing me make cocktails, so I intend to keep up with this when I've got the ability to do so. So, next on the list is playing some New Vegas. Glad you enjoy. Yeah. Oh, I've got some Margarita on my mouse. That's not ideal, but it's fine. It is always the risk of mixing drinks around one's computer. It's all good. Be a little bit sticky. Okay. Ugh. Let's see. Okay. So how is everyone this Friday evening or afternoon, as the case may be, while I get Fallout started up? Hope everyone has had, well, as pleasant a week as one can in the current circumstances. I'm glad to hear, Carbon 99. Yeah, hope you enjoy your future margaritas. Mm. See, the margarita is excellent with good tequila, but it's also a pretty damn good way of making mediocre tequila into something eminently drinkable. Indeed, without going too much uh, into the history, it's one of the big reasons why sours became popular post-prohibition, is that it was considerably nicer to have bathtub whiskey. Why do my bloody headphones keep cutting out? It's considerably nicer to have bathtub whiskey with some lemon and sugar than it is to have it on its own. Right, New Vegas script extender. Uh, you need to have people send in pictures of their cocktails to post on your page. Yes, please do. I would happily do a, uh, Art Attack style. This one for the 90s British kids, like Art Attack style, gallery of people who've sent in their drinks. That would be delightful. Excellent. Yes, New Vegas does need to shit the bed just a little bit. It's fine. It's fine. So let's move to game view, and hopefully, you can see it. Also, why is that? Okay. Sorry, that's probably quite loud for you. Reduce that a little bit. Okay, there we go. Oh, wonderful. It's resized my screen, so I now can't see what's going on in chat. I did get... The only mods I have running for this are things that improve like stability and make it a bit more of a functional game, and yet still having a few minor issues. There we go. Okay, I can see the messages now, and I can see the game. Still got terrible mouse acceleration on the menus, but hey ho. Right. For the people just joining us, I hope you're having a pleasant Friday. You just missed my making a margarita. Not quite a perfect margarita because it has lemon instead of lime, but nonetheless a rather tasty drink. So, if you're into cocktail making, I would recommend you go back and watch that. Of course, I'm biased in these matters. But if you're not, sit back and enjoy my pissing around in the Mojave. So, the tale of Slow Joe continues. Slow Joe is... Let's have a quick refresh on his stats. Well, he's currently a little bit injured, so do I have any doctor's bags? Oh, he's probably not competent enough to use them. Oh well. So, Slow Joe is very beefy, very tough, not the most perceptive chaps, but he does have a quick wit despite his, or at least a persuasive wit despite his lack of cunning, and he is physically slow, also moderately lucky. So Slow Joe is wandering around the Mojave, trying to chat nice with people, and if they don't speak nicely to him, then he has a tendency to punch or throw grenades. He's quite good at punching. He's got a power fist now, which is delightful. So I should just refresh myself with what I'm actually doing. Right, quests. Is that anywhere nearby? Now let's make a beeline for Vegas, and then I can come back and fill in a few of the quests. Maybe we'll encounter some dangerous types along the way. That's pretty much guaranteed. I've said it before, but despite the relatively limited
we won't got business here.
okay, dude. Despite the relatively limited capabilities of the Fallout 3 engine and the terrible texture quality and so forth, this is a very pretty game. And this is without any, super fancy graphics mods or anything. Just has a kind of bleak serenity to it that I very much enjoy. I normally play Bethesda games, or Bethesda style games, with a podcast on or something, because I just love wandering around and exploring and completely ignoring whatever quest I'm supposed to be doing. But this time I am the podcast. Or I should have a bit of food, shouldn't I? Because I'm quite low on health. Fire ant meat? Sure. That couldn't be too bad for me. Why not? Jalapenos? A couple of those. And some pork and beans. And my health gradually goes up. That's nice. I had a friend tell me earlier, or yesterday, that they were going to watch my Wednesday stream, but decided not to upon seeing the subject matter because they'd just been overwhelmed by the news, which, I understand. It's something generally I've struggled with the kind of ongoing torrent of terrifying news over the last few years, is that on the one hand you want to stay informed and be aware of what's going on, but on the other hand it is a lot all the time, just constantly. So I'm going to try to keep tonight relatively politics free, although if anybody wants to ask about that, then we can have a discussion in that direction. But it is nice occasionally to just take a little bit of time off.
Morning.
And enjoy a fictional nuclear wasteland. So let's head off to see Benny at the Tops Casino and maybe challenge him about his shooting me in the head. That wasn't very cash money of him. Neon Golden says, I was discussing this with friends earlier. I've blocked out times on my phone to be not scrolling news articles for some kind of balance. Yeah, I think that might be just the best way to do it. Though I always find that I end up, my information sources, the various sites I frequent, Reddit and all the various oh, that's stealing. I shouldn't steal. That would be wrong of me. All of the various news sites and everything, I just kind of compulsively click on to see what's happening in the world and then get sucked in, which is frustrating. And yeah, so Friday evening for a nice light stream where I don't have to engage quite as much with the horrors of the real world. Why is everything here thieving? Oh, I shall leave it alone. I don't want to be a bad man. I want to strive for virtue and all of that thing. So yeah, hardline app blocking might be the might be the way to go. Though, because I spend all my time on the desktop as opposed to the phone. Not that I don't spend a fair amount of time on the phone, but I am pretty much tied to my desktop with an umbilical cord. It does mean I did have an app for a while, New Kit, I think, something like that, where it would block a range of sites, including most of the sites that one uses for random news browsing and time wasting. That worked pretty well, and you could get around it. It had an option to disable it. You could set it to only be active certain times or be active when you press a button when you need to work. But you could disable it by touch typing a very complex sentence with no errors. That I just ended up getting quite good at typing that sentence. A crazier is a bastard sometimes. Right, we are at the edge of Freeside. Right. Before we go on, I'm just going to quickly grab some sugar in the form of Coca-Cola because my blood sugar is trending low. And I would rather not have a hyperglycemic episode on stream, because that's just going to be unpleasant for me. And probably somewhat distressing for people watching too. However, I do always get ice for my Coke, unless I'm heading really, really low, because I'm not a barbarian. Even when my biology conspires against me, I still have some standards. I suppose in some way that's a means of my, exerting control over something that I have very little control over. There's probably some deep psychoanalysis that can be done, but I also really just like ice in my drinks. Hence my having a freezer in my living room and a fridge. I have a modest cocktail bar that takes up half my living room, which fortunately my fiance is very tolerant of. That's partially because I do frequently make her drinks like this, but she's nonetheless very tolerant. I ruined her with ice, so before she met me, she was basically ambivalent or apathetic towards ice in drinks, but now, because I have it with every drink, and she's gotten used to it, she can't go back to having uniced drinks. And, I mean, really, I've raised her standard of drinking, so I don't feel too bad about it. I'm just adding in the carbohydrate dosage to my app that monitors how high or low I'm going, Thanks to, well, you've probably seen it when I have just a t-shirt on, but this this little implant here that makes me into a cyborg. And with so this app, it's pretty cool. It's called Xstrip Plus, open source dealie that has been developed by a bunch of biohackers, and it automatically transmits the blood glucose readings to my fiance's phone, where she has a duplicate app that receives it, and it'll do that over the internet, over whatever protocol you need. So in a very real sense, my endocrine system, my homeostasis is networked, which is cool. Though, of course, introduces some potential security flaws. While it's not a huge concern to me right now, it is definitely something to be somewhat worried about in the long term. Hello, Rockface. Yeah, go on.
The first thing you should know is that Freeside is run by a pack of yahoos that call themselves the Kings. Their leader, who oddly enough calls himself the King, currently has his hands full trying to prevent an all-out riot in Freeside. That's 2 tips, but what the hell? You're a new customer.
Maybe another time, Rockface. Hello, children. Do I have... Let's see if I can stop them. Oh. Alright, lads. Chill out. Well, that seemed decidedly unnecessary. That guy seems amused though. Fair enough, I guess. Okay, where are the children? They have something for me. They run in here. Oh, children! I want to purchase something from you. No, have they just been scared off by the... Oh, there you are. There you are. Hello. What? Wait, stay where you are.
Reach for the sky,
There
mister.
we go.
This is the best gun in the whole galaxy.
You're a goddamn
I
liar.
paid 1,000,000 caps for it. Sorry, I may be little, but I'm not dumb.
Aw. Give me the gun.
Sorry, but I need...
Okay, I'll give you 1,000
Yeah?
caps. Damn it. I forgot how much it is, and I do not have 1,000 caps. How many caps do I have? I have 323. That's quite away from 1,000, isn't it? Okay, well, let's go and see if I can earn some more caps. This dude didn't have any caps. Which is probably why he was attacking me. I mean, that makes sense. Though, it does seem unwise. Ooh, a cherry bomb. Excuse me. It does seem unwise to attack this pure hunk of man meat. I mean, would you fight this dude? I wouldn't. Just seems dangerous.
Good day.
Good day to you, local. Okay. So let's... What are the stream plans for next week? Asks Neon Golden. Well, So I've got a philosopher who I know, Brian Earp, who's a fascinating guy. He works on some very interesting areas related to gender and excuse me, and the ethics of neuroscience, and particularly like emerging areas of neuroscience, and he has written a book called Love Drugs, which is about the use of pharmaceuticals, pharmacological agents, to modulate our perceptions, our neurological activity related to love. And he's written this with Julian Savulescu, who's an excellent philosopher here at Oxford at the Practical Ethics Department, and kind of my supervisor, or kind of one of my supervisors. And Brian has agreed to come on very kindly, but I just need to schedule the actual day for him, so it might be next week, no guarantees. And it's entirely on me. It's just the fact that I want to read his book before bringing him on, so I'm better informed, and so that we can have a bit of a deeper conversation. I mean, it's an area that I'm fairly familiar with, but nonetheless, I would certainly like to read his stuff properly before speaking. So he might be coming on next week. Fingers crossed. If he's available specifically at the right times, and I'm able to get through the book in time, which I probably will be.
The other doctors. I'm just a researcher, not even a particularly good one.
Aside from him, we may well be having Anders Sandberg on to talk again. Anders, for those of you who don't know, is one of my favourite philosophers, and well, he's not even exactly a philosopher. We were having a conversation the other week, and he wants to be a professor of natural philosophy, which I think would be very appropriate for him, because he really is a kind of Enlightenment era polymath. His background is in computational neuroscience. Got his doctorate in that, and then decided to go into philosophy, where he's one of the only philosophers in the world who actually knows how to use MATLAB and program in C. So he does a lot of interesting, like, quantitative stuff on the boundary between physics, philosophy, neuroscience. Does some great work, truly interdisciplinary, and also a very pleasant person to boot. So Anders has been on 3 times now, discussing, well, the latest time he was on was helping me prepare for the Destiny stream, dealing with some ethics problems, because he is legitimately one of the major kind of ethicists working in this kind of space of long-term future stuff. But he also has appeared on this stream twice before, talking about colonizing the universe, or initially talking about the Fermi paradox and the Drake equation, and then talking about kind of colonizing our solar system. And next time, possibly next week, we'll be talking about kind of reaching out from our solar system and colonizing the universe. So that promises to be very interesting, and I'm very fortunate to call Anders a friend, because he's tremendously generous with his time, helping out this stream and having some very interesting conversations. And I'm also fortunate to call him a collaborator, as we've both worked together on a rather interesting paper on, if I do say so myself, on the topic of changes in personality and identity related to deep brain stimulation, which was joint first authored between me and Dr. Jonathan Pugh, another fantastic ethicist working at Oxford, with Anders providing a good deal of input. So yeah, he's a lovely person, and works just at that intersection of topics that I find particularly fascinating. So whether or not he comes on next week, he'll be on at some point in the nearish future. And yeah, so that's kind of plans for next week. I'm not sure what I'll be doing on Friday cocktail wise, but I'm sure it'll be something tasty, assuming that I don't get events don't overtake me. Also, of course, I was going to have a chat with Sudosia, who's another streamer whose Twitter game is extremely powerful, and unfortunately, the whole global events, the America-centric global events, overtook us. So she was out protesting on Wednesday. So we may well be having a chat next week or sometime. I haven't arranged a specific time for her because she was understandably busy. So one of my limitations, admittedly, here is that I'm not great at planning out specific time frames for things. So any inability for me to get guests is entirely my fault, and is something that I need to continue improving, because I have lots of interesting people who may well come on, but I just need to organise it better. But we live and learn, and that's something that I am trying to learn. So let's speak to Arcade Gannon. What kind of research are you doing?
Finding alternative treatments for common illnesses and injuries. Stim packs out of barrel cacti and other fantastic improbabilities.
Sounds like good research.
As far as fruitless wastes of time go, it's quite noble in its aims.
You don't sound so enthusiastic. That sounds like a very promising research project.
I'm enthusiastic about helping people, but nihil novi sub sole.
Nihil what?
Oh, sorry. There's nothing new under the sun. If agave and mesquite were that miraculous, the locals would have figured it out a few thousand years ago.
Depends on what you're doing with it, I suppose. Like, there might be some useful compounds in there that one could combine and convert into useful medicine, but who knows what's even in Stimpack. Do you know much about Caesar?
I don't know anything that the others couldn't tell you. Caesar was one of the followers, before my time, of course. He wanted to rebuild the new world in the image of the old. A sad story of good intentions gone bad. In that regard, he's hardly unique. If you set aside his leadership capabilities, extensive knowledge, and ruthless cunning, he's just another jerk who steps on people to get his way. Not from the Legion, if that's what you're getting at. Books, sheet music, gladiator movie holotapes, bits and pieces here and there. The followers have extensive libraries, but we all draw water from the same old well. Even Caesar.
Let's talk about something else again.
Certainly. Not all followers are people persons. Besides, someone needs to do research. I have no problem with Julie sticking me back here. Out of sight, out of mind. There are worse things one can be, though I do admit it is a bit boring. Though it has a noble goal, I don't think this research will yield much fruit.
How old's this game? This is 2011? Yeah, 2011. Why don't you come with me, Gannon?
No offense intended, but why should I go anywhere with you?
You seem cool. This place is really complicated and stuff. You're smart. Can you help me do things?
Wow. You sound like you really do need some help. Look, I can help you out, but you can't do anything stupid. I mean, you can't help bad people.
Oh, Gannon is so
who want to
lovely.
hurt the locals in Freeside.
He just wants to be nice.
If you do, I'll leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, let's not waste any time. There are people out there to help, things to learn.
Sweet. Okay, Arcade Gannon is with me, who is a pretty sweet NPC. He's got his plasma pistol. We'll get him some armor at some point. Actually, can I trade armor with you?
Sure, just don't
Do I
treat me like a
have any
pack
armor?
ramen, okay?
Let's see. Take some metal armor. And yeah, badass. Look at him. He's looking spiffy. His little Gordon Freeman glasses. Oh, delightful. Okay, let's see if you've got any.
Are you here to drop off medical supplies?
No. It's pretty rough here. You need
Rates of
supplies.
injury and illness in Freeside are very... Medex, Rado... So far, the Crimson Caravan won't cut us a deal.
Ooh, Crimson Caravan.
You might ask around at Mick and Rao. Just come see...
Okay,
What do you want?
that sounds like a quest. Okay, we've all played New Vegas before, I'm sure, so let's not go through too much of the dialogue. Well, I don't know. I suppose at least a couple of people watching probably haven't. Oh, how adorable, a child chasing around a big rat thing. Ah, the joys of the nuclear apocalypse. Right. Charles Nober is up for my New Vegas playing. Sorry, Charles Noboa. It is such a good game. Right, this is always a difficult decision. The Kings or the Van Graffs? Van Graffs. There's also the Atomic Wrangler down there. Let's go down this direction.
Pistols, grenades. We've got it all at the Silver Rush.
You have a really good voice for that.
You want to get your hands on some of the deadliest weapons around? Head just down the street to the Silver Rush. You won't be disappointed.
There's a lot of bad voice acting in this game, but that is absolutely on point for a guy doing advertisements. Though,
Just as a warning, my covert bandaging skills are a little rusty.
The Silver Rush is just down the street here.
the Silver Rush is just down the street here. You can't miss it. Perfect. Right. Let's go. No, the Van Graffs are assholes, aren't they? Fuck these dudes. But Atomic Wrangler. See what they want us to do. Hello.
Welcome to the Atomic Wrangler. What can I get you?
What is with the weird glow in the eyes of everyone in pretty much all Bethesda games? Right.
Really now? This is news. They have the tech know-how to make our stills work more efficiently. Pure alcohol means we can getting our customers
capitalism.
drunk quicker means more caps spent at the tables and stuffing slots, if you know what I mean.
Ooh.
Plus, the extra alcohol
Naughty.
can serve as surgical disinfectant for their needs. The followers are a good lot. They've stitched up our boys in the past.
Well, this seems like a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Good. We can supply them with all the med-X they need. For the fixer, we'll only be... We're not in the business of getting people off drugs. So the followers should be able to whip some up with what we have available, though. They just need to agree to fix up our stills and keep them maintained, plus cover the cost for raw materials.
Okay. Well, that all sounds very reasonable, doesn't it? What do you think?
Welcome to the Atomic Wrangler. What can I get you?
Need any work done?
I have some work I need handled. Back before we instituted the caps up front rule, we used to allow customers tabs. Well, needless to say,
I bet you can
a few
complete
customers
New Vegas
snuck
with a
out
plasma
without
caster.
paying their
I'm doing it
bills.
with
We need someone to
fists and
collect.
grenades this time.
The job would pay a percentage.
A good friend of mine recommended it because otherwise I just don't absolutely default to sneaking around with a sniper rifle, which I enjoy, but probably isn't going to make for the most enjoyable stream. I don't want to kill anyone.
I'd prefer you not kill anyone with it. Just
makes
get the
sense.
caps from them.
You got yourself
Great.
a deal.
There are 3 people who need to be tracked down. A real...
Okay, tell me what
Grex is a bit cracked, but mostly harmless. Just don't mention anything about his lazy
Alright,
eye.
Grex, don't insult him.
He owes 138 caps.
Okay. 50-50 and I'm game.
Alright, 50-50 it is. But you better bring back all of the caps. If we hear you crossed
Alright.
us, then...
Tell me about Lady
Lady
Jane.
Jane fancies herself a high roller, but she's just another dirtbag NCR prospector. I'm not sure where to find her.
Oh great, so I have to
hear
find
she's run
someone
goods for the
with
followers
just the
of
name
the apocalypse
Lady
in the
Jane.
past,
I'm sure
but
that
other
narrows
locals
it down.
might know more. She owes us 250 caps.
Tell me about Santiago.
Santiago is a suave son of a bitch, but a total pansy when it comes to fisticuffs. He owes 212 cap. Anything?
Okay, this seems like I might be able to find a few of them without too much difficulty. Yeah, look at us, pair of utter badasses. With my massive mutton chops. Yeah, we're cool.
Make
Hello.
a brief stop at the Atomic Wrangler, where the booze is cheaper, the table's more friendly, and the women are just like the booze.
So, okay, cheap but not friendly. I suppose that's something. Aha.
Hi there.
See, the clever thing is, if I have the cocktail jug down here, I get to enjoy the, like, ice cocktail runoff, the cocktail flavoured water at the end, which is still tasty. Oh shit! Charles Noboa says, you know, I just realised that Obsidian made a reference to New Vegas in New Vegas to Fallout 1. Remember that in Fallout 1 they can give you a plasma caster to an NPC called Smitty. And in New Vegas there's a plasma caster called the Smitty Special. I never noticed that. That's awesome. I haven't played New Vegas in... sorry, I haven't played Fallout 1 in fucking years. Brilliant game though. Though Fallout 2 was more my style. I think, were you running away from me? You just running? Am I someone who I'm supposed to catch? I don't know what's going on. I'm just chasing her because... No?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, Fallout 2 I think had a bit more of a sense of humour. It was a little bit less depressing than Fallout 1. But in some ways I think Fallout 1 maybe had a bit more to say. Whoa, okay. Come on, Grex.
Can
Come
you
on.
spare a few caps?
I'm gonna punch him in the face. Come on. Give me some money.
Whoa, yeah. I guess the Garrett sent you after me. Look,
Yeah,
I
Fallout
got
2,
the caps right here. Just don't
just
hurt me.
such a wonderful game. Come on. Cough up the rest. Go. Grex? Grex, yes, Grex.
Okay, here.
No, I'm not that mean.
I
I'm gonna take the clothes from his back.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to bash into you. It is remarkable how little actual space is needed to evoke evoke a sense of place. Like the... Oh. Well, I was going to stop the fight. He seemed to be running away. Alright, Arcade Ganon, that's a bit mean. Jeez. Okay, are we going to keep on focusing? Alright. But yeah, the actual amount of space here is pretty minuscule. You know, it's like less than a real-life city block. And yet, there's a very strong sense of place. It's very impressive. Of course, you know, video game developers use all kinds of cunning perceptual tricks to ensure that we don't realise the underlying nature of the reality they've crafted is relatively flimsy. You know, I'd look at this building and based on my initial visual impression and my kind of higher level processing of that, it seems like a solid building. But if we were to turn on no clip, we would see that each of these surfaces has literally zero depth. It is not defined in terms of depth. It is just a 2D texture over a wireframe. But they feel real. And I suppose we kind of inevitably...
The king controls the...
Okay. Can I buy bottles of water? Oh, I was joking. No, I'm alright. Thanks. Oh, I'll be off then. But yeah, it is remarkable how easily tricked we are and so I was about to kind of go into like Nozick's experience machine. So for those who don't know, Robert Nozick proposed this idea called the experience machine, in which he posited a machine, say a bunch of neurological implants that stimulate and record from the brain, and by doing so give rise to a virtual reality that is indistinguishable from our own and which is very enjoyable. And if we were able to transmit our consciousness, transmit our everyday conscious experience into such a machine, would we want to? Would we want to give up whatever reality is in order to have a more pleasurable but arguably less authentic experience inside the machine? And of course, this is hello. Of course, this is widely known about from the Matrix, which was a kind of the experience machine was one of the main aspects of philosophy, one of the main thought experiments that influenced the Matrix. And Nozick argued that most of us, at least, would not want to go into that machine, that it would be in some way wrong to give up our authentic experience and substitute it for something that's perhaps more pleasurable but arguably less meaningful.
Aside from protecting them
And
from the occasional thug looking to
in
intercept.
okay, yes. And
They're
in
worried the filthy drunkies in detox seeing me
my
drink will cause
imagination
an
of the
immediate relapse.
experience machine thought
I say
experiment,
their rehab effort here is just
I always kind of conceptualized it as a very high fidelity, very realistic experience, that it would be kind of a perfect virtual environment that we couldn't distinguish from reality. But increasingly I think we wouldn't need anything that complex.
I've been around long enough to observe the patterns of human.
Sounds like you're a bit of a dom.
Hey, who doesn't enjoy a little pinch and squeal?
Fair. But yeah, so I'm increasingly of the opinion that we won't need anything quite so advanced in order to create such a machine.
Feed a man a bullet.
But I'm also increasingly unconvinced that living in such a
Time
machine
to enjoy wasting isn't wasted time.
I'm increasingly less convinced that such a machine would be a bad thing. Okay, I'm just going to skip all this because you've probably got some useful information, but it's going to be poison to go through all of that on the stream. So, I think that it's not that implausible that at some point in the relatively near future we can be plugging ourselves into something that looks very much like Nozick's experience machine. Okay. I don't think any of these owe the Wrangler money.
I don't talk to nobodies. Not when I'm having the time of my life.
You're sleeping in a refugee camp, dude. Like, if that's the time of your life, then I guess the wasteland sucks. But yeah, as I was saying, I think if you asked me tomorrow whether I would plug myself into such a machine, assuming it existed, I would definitely have to have a long think about that. Right, do any of you owe the Atomic Wrangler money? No, you don't want to wake up. Oh, you're dead, probably. Charles Noboa says, if you haven't killed Benny yet, you can choose the convert bachelor perk and literally have sex with him and then kill him. Ha ha ha. Also, there's a funny dialogue with that perk. Do it please if you can. So my previous perk, I've gotten the cannibal perk because though I'm doing a good playthrough, sometimes Slow Joe just gets very hungry for human flesh. Let's not judge him. Just, sometimes he wants to eat a person. But yeah, I should get the confirmed bachelor perk and do that. I'll wait around for Benny to. Oh
You
shit!
okay?
Kids with knives. All right, steady on now.
We're gonna have rat tonight.
Fair enough. But yeah, I will. I'll probably be messing around in Freeside for a little while. So before that, I will try to get the the confirmed bachelor perk. Can you get? I'm not sure if you can get both the confirmed bachelor and the lady killer perks at the same time. I hope so, because you know, bi representation is important.
It's never dull in Freeside, is it?
That's not what you said. Okay. There's just something very weird about those faces. Like everyone's made of porcelain or something. Very curious. Anyway. Right, how's my blood glucose going? Oh, that's coming up nicely. Cool. I have to say, I'm so fucking glad to be a diabetic now rather than in, you know, 20 or 40 years ago. Like, 20 years ago, a pocket-sized device that remotely monitors my blood glucose and warns me if it's going low, and, you know, wakes me up in the middle of the night if it's going low, which sometimes is annoying as fuck when it's a false alarm, but overall is very much a good thing. It's prevented a couple of severe medical emergencies so far. I've only been diabetic for a couple of years. But you know, if you told that to a diabetic 20 years ago, they'd probably think you're having a laugh. And 20 years before that, the idea of easy blood glucose monitoring with, you know, little digital devices is ridiculous.
You look new to Freeside,
Hey,
so
old Ben.
here's a little advice, friend. Don't go past the Southgate greeter without talking to it first.
Charles Noboa asks, I know this is out of context in all sense of the word, but have you seen the Eric Andre show? Yeah, I have. I fucking love the Eric Andre show. Why wouldn't I want to go past the greeter? Thanks for the free advice. Yeah. Okay, old Ben. Tell me
I've
a
done
story.
a bit of everything.
Oh,
Some
same
of
here.
which I'm not proud.
But yeah, the Eric Andre show is. A few of the sketches do make me a little bit uncomfortable in terms of like, there's some weird stuff with Eric Andre being like quite aggressive to women that I don't think he's meaning specifically, you know, being specifically aggressive towards women, but it doesn't look great. But the show as a whole is really fucking hilarious, and I very much appreciate the kind of anarchic, crazy comedy that it does. Yeah, it's very Python-esque in the kind of original Monty Python mold of crazy, chaotic, anarchic humor that still has useful points to make. And yeah, Eric Andre. It's actually one of those shows that I go to if I'm in a bad mood and I just want something like unambiguously hilarious to watch. Sticking on some Eric Andre often cheers me up because I find it impossible not to laugh, particularly at the like Bird Up and the Ranch sketches. All of those I just find hilarious, and all the interviews. I used to be a courier before I got shot in the head. Wait, was this? This was before Skyrim.
Exactly one of the reasons I got out of that job. Too many shifty characters looking to have someone else move their hot items.
It was before Skyrim, wasn't it? Because, yeah, definitely. Skyrim was 2012, I want to say. Something like that. Okay.
All right.
I'm done with you, old Ben. Where are the... Oh dear, you're not gonna have a good day, are you?
You've entered a restricted area. Exterminate.
Some good visual storytelling here from Obsidian. Let's just see if I get any privilege from being the player character. Nope, fuck off.
Submit to a credit check.
Goodbye. Baha! You can't stop me.
Exterminate.
Oh, we require a key. Oh, apparently you can't stop me. Alright. Right, okay, let's leave the strip alone for the time being then. It's probably the sensible option. And where are those bloody people who owe money? Data. Debt collector, right. Lady Jane and Santiago. Oh, we have quest markers, but that one. Oh no, here we go. I was close. Oh, excuse me.
Hey.
There's old Ben. Hello, Lady Jane.
Hello. Lovely to meet you.
Who are you?
I haven't the time to...
Okay.
But...
Alright, Lady Jane.
Hello. Lovely to meet you.
Haughty. I was hide by the garrets.
In that case, I suppose you're here to collect. If someone were to recover my caravan from that cave, I could
Ooh, a
easily
side
pay in
quest.
full. But who would bother with such a mess?
I kind of want to go. Yeah, give me
I'm short 90 caps or so, but I have a few. At this point, I'll have to return to California.
No. Maybe I should have gone to collect a caravan. Oh, I feel bad about that. I've ruined a woman. Such is the life of a debt collector. There's some lesson in it, but I don't care to learn it. Oh, that has hit nicely. Just a little bit over one cocktail. That's where you want to go.
Hungry? Thirsty? Horny? The Atomic Wrangler has you covered.
Right. Let's bugger off to Freeside again then. I'm just wandering up and down the Freeside strip. Yeah. Where is this final person? Are they hiding somewhere in the bombed out ruins of a shop? So I was on 300 caps before. Maybe. No, I probably won't have enough to buy the atomic ray gun thing. The targeted delete. If I did, I'd be tempted to just buy it and run off with the money, but then come back when I've got enough. Okay, here's the other side of, here we go. We can go through here. Hello, down on your luck person. You're about to be even more down on your luck.
How are you today? Santiago is fabulous.
Oh, that's nice for you, Santiago. You owe a bunch of caps.
Santiago does not owe anyone. Santiago, he's a free
Santiago likes to use the third person. Francine warned me that you're a smooth talker.
Indeed, Santiago is a poet among pretenders. If you're here to collect for the Garretts, Santiago is debt-free.
I don't want to kill you, Santiago. You have some style.
I didn't think she was upset enough to have me killed. I do the Santiago act to get out of paying for services every once in a while. I didn't think it could possibly get me killed.
Well, that was quite stupid of you, wasn't it, Santiago? Fortunately, you've got me with a high speech skill and Arcade Ganon following me around. Oh, hello. You look like a very reasonable and friendly chap. Yes, you're waving at me. This is definitely good. Hello? Hello? What's called this then?
Check it out. Between the...
I really should be going.
Over here.
Oh. Oh, come on, Ganon, you'll not give me a chance to do my thing. Well done, I guess, but I didn't get to do any punches. You killed everyone. Jolly mean of you. They didn't even have anything good, I say. Well, none of these people has anything useful. This is a big old waste of time. But good job for shooting people, Ganon, I suppose. That's what I bring you along for. It's interesting the ways that some games implement these kind of soft difficulty systems. So like the fact that if you get... Oh fuck, what's the sniper's name? New Vegas sniper. Boone? If you get Boone, or whatever the hell his name is, this whole game becomes just way easier, because he will snipe people from miles away. Right, so I forgot that I do have to earn 2,000 caps to get into the Vegas Strip.
Hungry? Thirsty?
Lasers, plasma,
Horny?
pistols.
Well, everyone's advertising to me, I don't know where to go. Right. Okay, I have your money.
Yep.
Oh.
Welcome back. What can
All the desk
I don't
characters.
care how you handled those lumps of human refuse.
I just spoke
but
to
you
them
got the
nicely.
job done. We need you. That son of a bitch McCaffrey
Oh,
stole a
son
ton
of a
of
bitch.
caps and ran off to
Fucking
Vegas.
McCaffrey.
I guess the fact that we farmed out his
Classic
usual work to
McCaffrey.
you pissed him off. No one steals from the Garrett twins. If you can kill that bastard and bring...
Cool,
Good.
yeah, go on.
Just stop on back.
I'll do a little bit of murder.
Bye.
I'm trying to do a relatively nice run, but... You know, sometimes you just got to do a little murder. Just a little one. It's okay. Nobody's gonna blame you. Just a little bit of taking human life, you know.
Hungry? Thirsty?
Let's go see the kings. I've always enjoyed this as a facet of New Vegas. The idea that, you know, they've gotten a bunch of Elvis records and decided to just kind of go all in on a cult. Did you ever ask yourself how the hell did people learn to talk and even read sometimes in the Wasteland, asks Charles de Boa, especially in the Capital Wasteland. Yeah, the talking is understandable, though given that it's like 200 years in the future, they should probably have substantially changed speech patterns. But the reading, yeah, there can't be that many people who... Oops, I'm stuck. Who learn to read in this place. I mean, do any of these guys look like they've spent the time to spell out the alphabet? The alphabet.
Hi.
Apparently I can't speak. It's always something that causes me a little bit of
Going to the Wrangler tonight?
of kind of confusion with fictional, you know, portrayal sci-fi set many years in the future, is that the language is always a bit too similar, though it's kind of a problem with the medium. Ooh, king's outfits, so many king's outfits. A cup runneth over. But yeah, it's kind of an an issue with the medium in that if fancy chambers. If all stories used complete different language sets to represent the future changes in linguistic trends, then you know they'd all be incomprehensible.
What's up?
What is it? Clockwork Orange kind of does that a bit, and you know it's widely not read because of its incomprehensibility. So yeah, I do quite like the way some cyberpunk stories do it, with language is basically the same except we use a few bits of cool slang. Which, I don't know why I'm just searching through this whole building. Where is the king? I just completely missed anything useful to speak to. But yes, you at least get a bit of that feeling of, you know, differentness of, you know, we're using shui instead of cool. We're using dreck instead of shit.
You want your hair done too?
Whatever.
No. The kings are many, and their hair must be perfect.
Okay, Sergio, calm down. But you at least get a bit of that kind of flavour of, you know, slang has changed, rather than just being, why am I stuck? Oh, there we go. Rather than just being kind of confined to early 20th century standard English. This is just an old music school, isn't it?
I used to guard at the gate, but there's no...
Oh, there you are. Okay, so I just searched the whole building trying to find this guy who was literally right in front of me as I came in.
Anything's possible, I say.
You're a guitar.
You know what? I like you.
I like you.
Half the people around here, they forget who runs this place. Head on through. The king's the bored-looking guy by the stage. Can't fucking miss him.
Money in it these days. Only the big name.
Well, there we go. That's exactly what I was intending to do.
Hey.
Hey.
Look, Rexy, someone new's come to see us. Poor boy. He hasn't been feeling well lately. I'm the king. What can I do for you? Maybe so. Maybe so. You look like you might be able to handle yourself. Tell you what, you do me a favor, and I'll have some more work for you when it's
How
done.
come in video games,
Sound good?
my character always looks like they can handle themselves? Every NPC thinks my character can handle themselves or is a badass, even when I deliberately make the most unfit character for whatever role I'm doing. Everyone thinks I'm a badass. What if I don't want to play a badass, eh? What if, the king, I am a coward? I mean, okay, my current character is quite the badass, but, you know, maybe I want to be a coward sometimes.
I'll start you off with something easy. Did you notice the bodyguards for hire near the gates when you entered Freeside?
Here's another out of context fact. Did you know that humans are genetically equal, like 3% different from pigs? They're not. Well, it depends on how you measure it. So, what does he ask about? I forget. Yeah, sure.
Good money if you can stay alive long enough. Usually well earned, that is. Recently, my man, he's making a killing.
Okay.
Specifically, I want you to hire him. If nothing happens.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it depends on how you measure it, because if you're, I believe, and I'm not a geneticist, though I think at least one person listening is, if you're looking at like comparable genes, it's somewhat different from if you're looking at literally the whole genetic sequence. But yeah, certainly pigs are remarkably close to us in many ways. It's actually one of the reasons why they're so useful for a lot of research applications, is that their cardiovascular and respiratory systems are pretty fucking close to our own. And though neurologically they're quite different, they are very like sensitive, sort of socially intelligent animals. But yeah, genetically they're very, very similar. Obviously monkeys and so forth more so, but there's the old kind of factoid that, you know, we share 60% of our DNA with bananas, and I'm not sure exactly how much it is, and like I say, it varies depending on how you measure it, but It's certainly, you know, a reminder of how closely related basically all life is, and how we all came from the same originating organism. Why do I need a point?
Just look around. People here are as like to stab you as say hello. That
well,
is,
you're pretty badass, Horace. How much your services?
200 cap.
Alright, go on then.
Done and done. I want to mention a few things up front.
Okay, I'll
We'll
follow
be
your
heading
instructions.
down the main street here the whole way down. No detours. I'll keep a brisk pace, so try not to...
Alright, Horace. Yes, as an NPC, you always have to run at slightly different speed from me. Slightly different. Just a little bit slower. So I've just got to pause every few seconds.
Up ahead on the next block is where the king.
Just as a warning, my covert
It can be bought. It can be found at Nick and Ralph's.
Now the most hardcore question ever made, says Sharina Boa. Who's the best waifu, Prim Slim or Fisto? It's gotta be Fisto. It's gotta be Fisto. Right, come on Orin, let's... Oris, whatever your name is. Let's get to it.
Hey, slow down.
Oh yes, those men ahead look very scary. Let's avoid those men ahead. Ah, good old Oris, not steering me wrong. Why are you moving slightly faster now, Oris? What is this?
Gotcha. I figured ambushes, huh? Nothing to worry about. If you had hired one of those other hacks.
Dirt.
You're imagining things. It's just the rush of adrenaline caused. Luckily for you, I would.
Well, thank you, Oris.
Call it a hunch. You do this.
There's something odd about this. I wonder what happens if I...
Okay, that's it.
Okay, that went a bit sideways from what I expected, but... Okay, I didn't mean to cause quite that much disruption, but oh well. Ooh, yeah, some nice ammo though. And I'll take that armor. Oh, I'm over encumbered. Bloody. Drop that then, fine. Okay, well, I suppose I completed that. It's not my fault I killed everyone. Like, Slow Joe wants to be a nice guy. He really does. He just happens to have this deep need to punch things and sometimes eat a little bit of human flesh. And really, frankly, I think you're all very close-minded for judging him. You know, sometimes he just needs a little bit of a nibble and a little bit of blood splashed all over his power fist. And really, who are you to tell him any different? Okay, let's go back and see how the king responds to that whole situation. I didn't mean to kill everyone.
What do you have for me? Ah, so it went down like that.
Oh, cool. The king's alright with my murdering.
Well, you're not subtle, but you get the job done. That's good enough for me. Maybe you can help me with something more important. A lot of folks around these parts who've been here a while resent the sheer number of people that have come into the area since the strip was built. In turn, the newcomers, most of whom come from the NCR, have gotten ornery from being resented.
Gotten ornery.
Sometimes things get violent.
Ornery's good.
This is one of those occasions. Recently, a few friends of mine were attacked.
Not a
I
few
want
friends
you
of
to
yours.
find out who did it.
Dear.
Word's come that they just woke up
That's
over at the
terrible.
old Mormon fort just north of here. Head on over, see if they remember anything.
Okay, yeah, I'll head over right away.
Good. I like that enthusiasm. Return when you have...
Did you give me any money for... I don't know. Well, I'll help you out, the king. You seem like a decent chap, as these things go. I mean, that's a very relative statement, because everyone in the apocalypse seems pretty terrible, but...
We're not even allowed to sell, people. Only at Mick and Ralph's.
Well, that's a ringing endorsement.
We've got stuff we're not even allowed to sell.
Yeah, you just said that. I want my name to be Easy Pete. Easy Pete's a good name. Right. Let's see. Aha. Hello, inveterate gamblers.
What is it? Can't you see I want to be left alone with my friend here?
Your friend, the tent wall.
Oh, that's different then.
Tell me. Do you remember anything about the people
They
who
were
attacked
big
you?
guys, young too. No old geezers like me. Hell, none of them looked even half my age. I was mostly face down in the dirt, begging for my life when it happened.
Well, that's
so I only got
unfortunate.
a quick look at them.
Tell me.
Well, it happened at night, around 11. We'd recently made
How
some
do you tell
cash off
time
a bit of
around
scrap
here?
we found and wanted to invest it wisely. As we were leaving the Wrangler, we must have taken a wrong turn and ended up in the squatter side of town. From out of nowhere, these big guys show up and start barking questions at us, wanted to know if we were locals. The kid there's about as proud as a local around here gets, and started yelling back at him. Then all hell broke loose. Kid got the worst of it, sad to say.
Okay, I have to get going,
I hope
apparently.
you find the bastards that did this. If you want, try asking my friend Wayne over there.
Well, I certainly
Wayne,
shall.
it's okay. The
Are you
king
Wayne?
sent him.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello.
Yes,
That
hello.
true? Did the king really send you?
He did.
I don't really know what else I can add. They were a bunch of guys, better dressed than most Freesiders, I guess. That help?
Can you spell Margarita Larry Capia? I mean, you just spelled it. Every bit helps. You're not hiding from something from me, actually. Let's go with that.
What? No, I thought you were supposed... Hey, wait, I just remembered something. I might have
Aw,
heard one of the
Freeside
guys that
fame
attacked
reduced.
us call another by name. We had just about had it when one of them said, "Hey Lou, we gotta go." At least I think he said Lou. Might have been something. Now that I think of it, he said Lou something. Something with a T. Tenant, that's what he called him. Lieutenant.
Well, now that you think about
He
it.
probably said lieutenant. Wayne. The boy means well, but he's dumb as a mutant sometimes.
Hope what I remembered helps.
Tell the king we thank him for looking out for us.
Hello, Ferris. No, you're pretty unwell. Okay, so do I just wander back to the king and tell him what I learned? That's the general idea. Okay. So let's head back to the king, just back and forth a little bit.
We've got stuff we're not even allowed to sell, people.
That's the way to do it. Mo Harvey, mo problems. You are right indeed. Where has the king gotten to? I demand access. Has he gone upstairs? He's probably gone upstairs to that shag pad of his. Which, I mean, fair play. If I had a big heart-shaped bed, I'd probably spend quite a lot of time in it. Where see. I think it's another. No, it's another level up. I was saying the other time I was playing this game, I visited Vegas a couple of years ago, or like 18 months ago or something, and on the way over we drove from LA to Las Vegas, and on the way over we stopped by the what's the fucking starting town called? Good Springs, that's it. The Good Springs Saloon. And very pleasingly, in the toilets, someone had graffitied various Fallout-related things, including the oh, embarrassingly, I'm forgetting it. That line that the NCR soldiers always bark about patrolling the Mojave. That would have been a much better anecdote if I'd remembered that line. But oh well.
Have you found anything out? Or were you just
patrolling the Mojave makes me wish for a nuclear winter. That's it.
Bunch of soldier boys, huh? They usually don't come around these parts since their big base is on the other side of the strip.
Bunch of soldier boys,
If
huh?
they're coming over here now, it's got to be for a reason. I didn't want to believe the rumors that they're looking to take over Vegas, but now, if something big is going down, I'm sure rumors of it will have spread. Ask around, particularly in the squatter areas where the NCR folk hang. You might also mosey on over to the Mormon Fort and chat Julie
I've
Farkas
been to the
up.
Mormon Fort like
Followers
5
tend to be
times
in
now,
the
dude.
know
Come
about these things. Just don't ask her what to do about it. She'll probably ask you to hug someone or something.
Okay, can I have your book? I just want to take it. No, you don't want me to take it. Okay, I'll leave it alone. Last week I heard someone saying the Enclave was right. Yeah, like there are a lot of interesting discussions to be had, I think, about the politics of Fallout, but basically none of them end up with the Enclave was right, because those dudes are some assholes. NCR though, I can get on board with the NCR. I mean, basically, anyone who isn't like the Enclave or the Legion is. I don't know, saying that there are some fucked up factions in Vegas. I don't want to uncritically support any of them. Right, let's find out what we're up to. Oh no, is my spacesuit damaged? Ah, my spacesuit's damaged. Oh. How will I survive in space? This is most unfortunate. Right, I've probably got to go and get some repair kits. Or I don't think I can get armor just directly repaired by merchants, can I?
Come to Mick and Ralph's for all your shopping needs.
Yeah, I'll come to Rick and Ralph's. Alright, your advertising is working. Is this still... Nope, hydrogen doesn't work anymore. Bastard. Right, let's head on over to Mick and Ralph's then. And we will see if we can get this armor repaired a little bit. That would be nice.
Yep. Looking for a fix, man?
Actually, I'm alright, thanks, Dixon. All good, bro. Hello, Ralph.
If you're looking for guns, talk to Mick. I only offer services.
Give some side,
Alright.
yes.
Yeah, I've got a little side. Over the years, I've gradually perfected my craft to the point of what I'm referring to as passports.
Strip
You've got the
passports.
caps. I can whip up a strip passport, which will...
Yeah, let's keep it on
Hey,
the
if
low
you're
key.
interested and have the caps, they go for... What do you say?
I don't have barter, but I might come back and take you up on that option later.
Take